People died as severe flood hits 13 districts across the country. Flood forecasting and warning center predicts flood situation likely to improve in next 24 hours. Floods triggered again in the districts of Sylhet, Lokhipur and Cox's Bazar. Nearly 9 lakh people marooned. 3,176 shelter centers opened, briefs Disaster Management and Relief Ministry. Rescue operations and relief distribution continue among flood-affected people. Army, Navy, Air Force and anti-discrimination student movement working alongside local administration for flood-affected people. Air Force Chief inspects relief distribution program at flood-affected areas. Relief dropped from helicopters. Ousted Sheikh Hasina government takes loans worth of nearly 16 lakh crore taka from local and international sources during her 15 years tenure. Israeli delegation arrives in Egypt to participate in negotiations for ceasefire, while 47 more Palestinians killed in Israeli attacks in Gaza. And Bangladesh is in good position with 316 runs for 5 at third day stump against Pakistan in Rawalpindi Test. Assalamu alaikum viewers, this is News at 10 on BTV and BTV World. I am Imtiaz Ahmed Siddiqui. You just heard the headlines. Let's move on to the details of those and other stories. As many as 13 districts in southeast parts of the country are experiencing devastating floods. At least 15 people died so far. In Feni, Porshuram, Fulgazi, Chagolnaya, Feni Shodor, Dangon Bhuya and Shonagazi have gone underwater. Several lakh people have been marooned in the district. In Lokhipur, several lakh people remain marooned in the district due to incessant rainfall and tidal surge in the Meghna River. In Chandpur, Deputy Commissioner Kamrul Hassan visited flooded Shahrasti Upazila and distributed relief materials. In Bogura, all rivers keep swelling due to upstream water. The water in the Jamuna River at Sharia Kandi Point increased by 86 centimeters in 24 hours and now flowing 2 centimeters below the danger level. In Maulavi Bazar, several lakh people have been marooned. Chattogram is also experiencing flood in several upazilas, including Mirasharai, Fortichori, Hathazari and Rauzan. In Kumilla, flood situation has deteriorated in several areas due to a breach at the Gomuti River Protection Embankment in Burichong last night. In Noakhali, people in many areas are experiencing flood. As many as 13 districts, including Sylhet, Lokhipur and Cox's Bazar, have been flooded afresh due to continuous rainfall and upstream water from India. A total of 9,46,769 families remain marooned. In the meantime, 15 people, including 2 women, died. As many as 3,160 shelter centers have been opened for the flooded people. Secretary of the Ministry of Disaster Management and Relief, Muhammad Kamrul Hassan, came up with the update at a press briefing at the Secretariat today. Senior officials of the ministry were present. According to the Ministry of Disaster Management and Relief, the number of flood-affected people is over 48 lakh. Bangladesh Army, Bangladesh Navy, anti-discrimination student movement and volunteers alongside local administrations are working in the flooded districts. The Ministry of Disaster Management and Relief opened a control room to get information and extend cooperation around the clock. Flood forecasting and warning centers said the overall flood situation has slightly worsened in the low-lying areas of Maulavi Bazar, Hobiganj, Feni, Kumilla and Chattogram districts. today visited flood-affected areas of Feni. The advisor inspected the situation of flood victims of the district by a speedboat. He said overall flood situation is improving gradually and the rehabilitation work will start very soon.
পানি নামতে শুরু করেছে আশা করছি দুই এক দিনের মধ্যে পানি আরো নেমে যাবে তখন পুনর্বাসন ইত্যাদি অন্য কাজ শুরু হবে সেনাবাহিনী এবং ভলান্টিয়াররা স্বেচ্ছাসেবকরা সারা বাংলাদেশ থেকে স্বতঃস্ফূর্তভাবে অসংখ্য তরুণীরা ছুটে এসেছেন এই বন্যা ত্রাণে সহযোগিতা করবার জন্য এতে স্থানীয় যারা বন্যার্ত তাদের মধ্যে একটা আত্মবিশ্বাস আছে এর ফলে সেনাবাহিনীর যে উদ্ধার কার্যক্রম এটা অনেক বেশি বেগবান হয়েছে
Bangladesh Air Force continued relief distribution program along with strengthening their rescue operations of flood-affected people in 13 districts across the country. In continuation of this effort, Air Force Air Chief Marshal Hassan Mahmood Khan inspected overall situation of flood-affected areas including Feni, Chattogram, Kumilla and Noakhali with a helicopter. During this time, reliefs of Bangladesh Air Force were dropped from the helicopter. Mahmood Khan said Bangladesh Air Force has already launched a disaster management cell. Air Force personnel are always ready to provide their services to face any emergency situation. Bangladesh Police continued relief distribution program along with rescue operations in flood-affected districts across the country. As part of their initiatives, police personnel distributed relief among flood-affected people at various districts including Feni and Noakhali today. Along with distributing reliefs, they also inquired about the affected families. Meanwhile, National Emergency Service number 999 or hotline numbers of district police are always available to provide crucial assistance to flood-affected people. Anti-discrimination student movement collected funds for the second consecutive day at Teacher Student Center TSC in Dhaka University to support the severely flood-affected people in various districts across the country. People of all strata of life and social-cultural organizations, including volunteer organizations, were seen to come and provide their donation at the booth set up in front of TSC in the university. Anti-discrimination student movement called upon countrymen to come forward to stand by the flood-affected people, irrespective of their political opinions and religions. Meanwhile, students collected funds through organizing an urgent concert in front of Raju Bhaskorjo to support the flood-affected people. 30 popular bands and individuals, including Shirunam Hin, Shayan and Krishna Koli, participated at the concert. Many people in the country have been showing their interest to stand by the flood victims. The government has expressed its appreciation for the people who are eager to assist those affected by the floods. Interested individuals can send their contributions to the following account number of the Chief Advisor's Relief and Welfare Fund. Account name Chief Advisor's Relief and Welfare Fund, Sonali Bank Corporate Branch, Chief Advisor's Office, account number 010733300493. The government assured that all donated funds will be used for relief and welfare and that proper recourse will be maintained. Environment, Forest and Climate Change and Water Resources Advisor Saida Rizwana Hassan has said the interim government wants to make systematic changes of the state, not the person-based change. She said this while exchanging views with the government officials and students at Hobiganj Circuit House today. The advisor said all have to be alert, thus the victory achieved through the movement of students and mass people became useless. Later, Sayyidah Rizwana Hassan visited the embankment of the river Khwai in Hobiganj Sadar Upazila. Later, she told the journalists that according to the international law, the country situated at the upstream is bound to inform lower basin before releasing water, but this time they didn't inform Bangladesh earlier. She also said that drives will be conducted against the illegal occupier soon.
সে প্রেক্ষিতে আমার উত্তর হবে যে হ্যাঁ উজানের দেশের উপরে যারা উজানের দেশ তাদের ভাটির দেশকে জানানোর কথা যখন এরকম অস্বাভাবিক বৃষ্টিপাত হয় বা পানি ছেড়ে দেওয়ার দরকার হয় আগে একটু জানিয়ে দিতে হয় তাহলে একটু প্রস্তুতিটা রাখা যায় অন্তত মানুষজনগুলোকে সরিয়ে নেওয়া যায়
The Awami League government led by Sheikh Hasina has taken loans amounting to 15,58,206 crore taka from domestic and foreign sources. The total debt of the country now stands at 18,36,000 crore, including the previous loans. The amount is equal to 3 national budgets of Bangladesh. Of the loans, domestic debt is 10,35,000 crore taka and foreign debt is 8,01,000 crore taka. When Sheikh Hasina assumed power in 2009, the total debt of the country was 2,76,830 crore taka. Sheikh Hasina left the country by resigning, leaving the country under the burden of this huge amount of debt. The Awami League government has taken loans with tough conditions from India, China, Russia, other countries and various donors organizations to construct the Kornafuli Tunnel, Rupur nuclear power plant, elevated expressway, rail and power sector. Currently, the burden of foreign debt on the head of each citizen of the country is an average of $400. Economists have suggested the authorities concerned fix a strategy to deal with the huge debt burden of the interim government. They said the interim government can reduce the unnecessary sectors of the national budget and it can take negotiating strategies to waive interest on foreign loans and increase the original repayment period. Leaders of Bangladesh Jatiyo Hindu Mohajot has said Awami League has taken political benefit victimizing the minorities through attacks during the last 15 years. The evil efforts of the Awami League were brought under light during the movement of students and mass people, they added. The leaders of Bangladesh Jatiyo Hindu Mohajot told this at a press conference at Dhaka Reporters Unity in the capital today. President of Bangladesh Jatiyo Hindu Mohajot, Advocate Dinobandhu Roy, and its Secretary General Advocate Gobindo Chandra Pramanik, among others, spoke at the press conference. They said the attacks happened on the minority after fleeing of Sheikh Hasina was not communal activities. In fact, that was political rivalry, interclash and land dispute related incidents.
গত 15 বছরে ব্রাহ্মণবাড়িয়ার নাসিরনগর, যশোরের অভয়নগর, সুনামগঞ্জের শাল্লা, চট্টগ্রামের হাটহাজারী, রাউজান, ফটিকছড়ি, খুলনার শিয়ালী, রংপুরের পীরগঞ্জ, কুমিল্লা, চাঁদপুর, চৌমোহনী, সিরাজগঞ্জ, সাতক্ষীরা সহ দেশের বিভিন্ন স্থানে পরিকল্পিতভাবে গ্রামের পর গ্রাম জ্বালিয়ে দেওয়া হয়েছে। শত শত মঠ মন্দির ভেঙে গুড়িয়ে দেওয়া হয়েছে, অগ্নিসংযোগ করে ভস্মীভূত করা হয়েছে, কিন্তু সে সকল ঘটনার প্রকৃত আসামিদের গ্রেপ্তার করা হয় নাই, বিচারও করা হয় নাই। আওয়ামী লীগ সরকার বরাবরের মতো হিন্দু সম্প্রদায়ের উপর হামলা চালিয়ে পরিকল্পিতভাবে হিন্দুদেরকে ভিকটিম বানিয়ে রাজনৈতিক সুবিধা গ্রহণ করেছে। অতীতে আমরা দেখেছি যে একটা গ্রাম ধরে জ্বালিয়ে দিয়েছে, এবারের ঘটনা সেরকম না।
Now international news. Israeli negotiators have reportedly arrived for the next round of ceasefire talks in Cairo, where the issue of the Egypt-Gaza border is expected to be discussed. Meanwhile, U.S. envoy to the UN, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, has urged calm in the Middle East as she told the UN Security Council a ceasefire and captive release deal is now in sight. Israeli authorities have released more than 40 Palestinian detainees, with some showing signs of abuse, according to the Palestinian Prisoners Society. Medical sources said at least 47 people have been killed since dawn in Gaza, as Israel's military has stepped up operations in Deir al-Balah in central Gaza and Khan Yunis in the south. At least 40,265 people have been killed and 93,144 wounded in Israel's attack on Gaza. Kamala Harris has accepted the Democratic nomination for president on the final night of the party convention in Chicago. Harris pledged to lead for all Americans and create an opportunity economy in a highly personal headline speech. Other key themes included protecting the right to abortion, unity, and working-class aspiration. Harris also called for a ceasefire in Gaza, but did not address directly the protests taking place outside the convention over the U.S. support of Israel. Meanwhile, Republican rival Donald Trump gave a running on social media, saying, "Why didn't Kamala do something about the things of which she complains?" Democrats have been riding on a surge of enthusiasm since Harris became their nominee, but polls suggest the election remains extremely tight. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been welcomed to Ukraine's capital Kiev by President Volodymyr Zelensky in the first visit to the country by an Indian Prime Minister since it gained independence from the Soviet Union in 1991. Zelensky embraced Modi before they started talks on Friday at the Mariinsky Presidential Palace and said the Indian leader's visit to Ukraine was very friendly and historic. The Indian Prime Minister is expected to discuss economic ties and cooperation in defense, science and technology, while also broaching the contentious subject of a settlement to end the war with Russia. Narendra Modi told Zelensky that the killing of children in conflict was not acceptable, said he had come to Ukraine with a message of peace. A small passenger plane on a domestic flight in Thailand crashed yesterday afternoon shortly after taking off from the main airport in the capital Bangkok, the country's civil aviation authority announced. It appeared that all 9 people on board had been killed. Rescuers found no survivors at the crash site in a mangrove swamp in Cheonghae province, about 40 kilometers from the airport, reported Thai media, which said 7 passengers and 2 pilots had been listed as being on board. After about an hour of searching, rescuers found badly shattered body parts in the difficult swampy terrain, said a spokesperson for the provincial government. The cause of the crash is not yet known. And now weather. Met Office in its weather forecast till 6 p.m. tomorrow said light to moderate rain or thunder showers accompanied by temporary gusty wind is likely to occur at a few places over Rangpur, Rajshahi, Dhaka, Mymensingh, Khulna, Borishal, Chattogram and Sylhet divisions, with moderately heavy falls at places over the country. Night temperature may remain nearly unchanged and day temperature may rise slightly over the country, said the Met Office. And now, sports news. Das were at the crease on 55 and 52 runs. Earlier, Bangladesh started their third day's batting with an overnight score of 27 runs without loss. Shadman Islam scored 93 and Mominul Haq scored 50 runs for the team Bangladesh. Pakistan declared their first innings at 448 for 6. To end the bulletin, headlines once again. 15 people died as severe flood hits 13 districts across the country. Flood Forecasting and Warning Center predicts flood situation likely to improve in next 24 hours. Floods triggered again in the districts of Sylhet, Lokhipur and Cox's Bazar. Nearly 9 lakh people marooned. 3,176 shelter centers opened, briefs Disaster Management and Relief Ministry. Rescue operations and relief distribution continue among flood-affected people. Army, Navy, Air Force and anti-discrimination student movement working alongside local administration for flood-affected people. Air Force Chief inspects relief distribution program at flood-affected areas. Relief drops from helicopters. Irish State Sheikh Hasina government takes loans worth of nearly 16 lakh crore taka from local and international sources during her 15 years tenure. Israeli delegation arrives in Egypt to participate in negotiations for a ceasefire, while 47 more Palestinians killed in Israeli attacks in Gaza. And Bangladesh in good position with 316 runs for 5 at third day stump against Pakistan in Rawalpindi Test. And here we end the news. Thank you for being with us. Khuda